We are officially halfway through to Dune Prophecy, and to be honest, I still have no idea what's happening or what the point of this is, but I am kind of enjoying the ride. This episode, by far and away, is the weakest one so far, just because I knew we knew a flashback episode was coming. We knew that, but when it actually got here, it really slowed down the plot. And I really only think that one cool thing happened, which is what I'm going to talk about first, and that is the fact that Tula killed the entire Atreides line in one fell swoop, or most of them. She let that one boy go who was nice to her. Um, but that was really the most exciting part of the flashback. I don't think I learned anything that I didn't already know or at least suspect, but I did learn a lot about Tula. I think she is a very interesting character because she has been the one that we've seen sacrifice the most out of anyone in the Sisterhood so far. And I think it's really interesting because the whole title of the episode was Sisterhood Above All. And it's funny how that has different meanings to different people. Some people see it as the overall organization of the sisterhood has to be put above individual sisters. Some see it the other way around, where it's like you have to look at the other sisters, and that's a conflict that's brewing between the sisters in the sisterhood themselves. But it's also one that I think it's brewing between the two main sisters, Tula and Valya. And I think Valya, she talks a lot of talk about sacrifice and making all of these things, but she hasn't really given much up, has she? Like, I can't think of anything that she's had to personally sacrifice that would have great weight to her. And I don't think the flashback gave me any more insight into her character. Her character as a young woman just seems very angry all the time, and we're not even given reason as to why. I think the purpose of a flashback should be to kind of give us insight into the characters that we don't previously have from just present times alone, and I don't think this episode gave us much, if any, of that. So I do question the decision to do it in the first place. I think it has to be something to serve as an homage to the books. That's what I'm assuming, because I believe that the flashback is actually what happens in the books. Someone correct me if I'm wrong about that. But I don't think it helps or serves the story. Another thing I was thinking of, if you're going to do like flashbacks and have different timelines and stuff, I do kind of hope that they would do a crown, like the crown situation, where they have same characters but just have different actors portraying them each season. I think that would help flesh things out, because I do think that there could be an interesting story happening in the past, but I don't think it necessarily relates to the present time. So it seems like a little bit of a waste of time, if I'm being honest. So moving on from that, aside from all of the sacrifices that Tula had to make, we do see Valia become the Reverend Mother. We see her having a childhood where her family kind of hates her, and we can't truly understand why. All that they say is like, you're too ambitious, and it's like, is it supposed to be a social commentary on like the patriarchy and how people don't want women to be ambitious? Because if it is, I don't think the dots are connecting fully, but I appreciate the thought, I guess could be said. So now moving on to what's happening on in the present. So from the last episode, we know that Lila did not survive the agony, but Tula is keeping her in a vegetative state because she can't let her surrogate daughter go. And I think that there's something. I think this is the one part where the flashbacks actually helped, because it shows you that despite Tula being capable of great harm and great sacrifice and doing what she has to do, she's no stranger to making tough decisions, which is what she said in the last episode, and she proved it in this episode. And I think that shows you why she's so empathetic to other people, and especially to Lila, why she connects so much to her. And so that bond that they have is really interesting. But I think now it's pretty clear that when they were talking about the key to the reckoning, I think it's no longer Desmond Hart. It's Lila, right? Like, she was literally dead, and now after defusing her with a bunch of spice to try to bring her back to life, I think that applies to the one born twice, one in blood and one in spice. So it is very interesting to see how this could potentially be the beginning of the downfall for the Sisterhood, at least the Sisterhood as we see it in this specific version of the TV show. Knowing what we know about the Dune movies, we know that the Sisterhood still lives on, but it's very interesting to see how it changed. Also, a little bit of a separate note, but the Harkonnen and Atreides feud, I never really connected to that. Personally, it feels a little bit one-sided in both the movies and the show. I think the Harkonnens just really don't like the Atreides, and I think the Atreides oftentimes have a lot more going on in their plate than to deal with solely the Harkonnens, and so I think that makes it feel a little bit less epic and less specific to that being the central feud of the Dune universe. It just I don't connect with it as well, and I also don't really connect to a lot of the characters here aside from Desmond Hart, Tula, and Valya. Aside from those three characters, I think everyone else, it kind of gets lost in the world building. We are halfway through the show and we are still setting up the world and we're not fully in it yet. I think that Frank Herbert's books benefited from being done from an internal monologue, so you could see what Paul Atreides was thinking, you could see what all these characters were thinking and feeling, and it gave you, that was the key to unlocking the world. You didn't have to understand the world first to understand the characters. You understood the characters, and by understanding them, you understood the world, and that's something that the show hasn't quite figured out yet. But again, 3 episodes to go. What did you think of this last episode? Would love to hear your thoughts down below. And where do you think the series is going? Because I am honestly really confused. Although I have been seeing a lot of tweets about that Constantine guy. His character seems to be very popular among fans. I wonder why. But yeah, I will definitely keep watching this show because I'm just, at this point, is out of morbid curiosity, but it's still curiosity, which is good that the show has not dissuaded me from continuing to watch it. So what did you think about it? Leave your thoughts down below, and I look forward to next week's episode.